Hey, Pat Calamari here. Welcome to another great show on Pat Soundbytes Unplugged podcast. Keeping new music alive, what I do. Today, I got two great friends, two incredible musicians that I have supported, man, since day one. They are certainly returning guests. Glad to have them back. A lot going on in their camp. I have said in the beginning, this band in theory, especially with these two artists, to me, are the creators of what I labeled right from the start, swamp rock. And they continue to rock the world with their incredible sound and music. Now, let me just add that, in theory, really based out of Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and that's where Mike lives. And Muscle Shoals, excuse me, I'm having a little head cold here, known as the hit recording capital of the world, and also known for its unique musical sound of fusing hillbilly, blues, rock and roll, soul, country, and even gospel. And all that creates a sound that's cherry-picked the best features of each to forge something new. And this band, led by these two gentlemen, have now been branded as the new sound of Muscle Shoals. Folks, that says a lot, and that is so cool. And I am so happy for these guys. They work their asses off, trust me. Before I bring in my friends Tony Covino and Mike Mostert, time to share a little video of their latest single, Staying on My Soul. And I want you to crank it up when I bring it up. Done. Where is my man Mike and Tony? Come on back. There's Mike. There's brother Tony. Welcome. You got the explosive voice of, in theory, Mr. Tony Covino down on the bottom, but he's really up on the top. And what can I tell you? The CEO, the record producer, the man who can make a guitar howl and then some, for Christ's sake. And let me add fashion trendsetter. I got to throw that in there, the pictures and every other thing. Mr. Mike Mostert, brothers.
Thank you. That's a big intro, Pat.
Hey, no, Pat.
It's it's been a while. I'm on some medication, so I don't know. A lot has happened in the last month, and since we last spoke, and I am so thrilled. And I got here written down: new website, re-release the songs. Name the Sound of Muscle Shoals, live show, co-headline with James Nichols, featured on Alice Cooper's syndicated radio show, Nights with Alice Cooper. Your latest single, Staying on My Soul, reached number 3 on the classic rock charts. And the video, as I looked this morning, has hit over 7,000 views and going. Holy smokes, I am ecstatic. And so freaking happy for you guys. Your music, you guys have been on this musical journey for a while. I think this morning I'm thinking back when we first met. It was the Go-Go family record, and here we are today, a bunch of years back, and you got a song that hit number 3. Man, that is insane. Tony, let me just start with you, man. What are your thoughts to this? Did you ever think you would have a song played on Alice Cooper's radio show and chart at number 3?
No, it's pretty incredible, surreal experience. Growing up, I used to listen to Alice, and to have him play, first of all, we got selected to be on the radio on his show, and then he actually played it and commented on it. That was pretty trippy, man. That was definitely one for the books.
Absolutely. And he's such a terrific dude, man. I'm like, wow. I mean, that's a grand slam and a half. Mike, how do you attribute all this success? I mean, besides hard work, and I know you guys break your ass.
Well, I think that's a big part of it. There's a lot of hard work, and there's a lot more heart than people think. I always make a joke, or I call it fake book, instead of Facebook. And but there's a lot of hours, there's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of persistence and consistency that Tony and I have to put in, day after day. And then some days you move an inch, some days you move a yard, some days you move a mile, but we just always keep moving forward, and we keep striving to make the band better. We just never stop.
Yeah, that is like all good. I'm sitting here thinking earlier today, you guys have really done it well. Here's a few things I love about you guys, besides you're just a great friends, is the fact of not anybody starts a band with just 2 people and keeps going and then has a support system of a great artist that supports you on the road and help make the albums and stuff like that. And that's out of the box. Your sound is out of the box. I could probably go down the road. I mean, that is so insane. And it works.
I think Tony and I are going to leave the interview and just have you do the whole promo for us.
Yeah.
Okay, should we end now? I mean, look,
Good.
I got my shirt on. I bought the CD, or I got the CD. I got something beautiful hanging on my wall. I mean, what do you want from me? I mean, I'm in the band in theory without being in the band in theory.
You're like the secret 5th Beatle. You're like the 5th in theory.
I can deal with that. So getting back to my question, Tony, this is so unique. I mean, honestly, it's really so unique that, I'm thinking, like, what bands that are out there, White Stripe with Jack White, Simon and Garfunkel. I mean, who does that? I mean, and the hard work. I mean, it's actually, I want to say it might make it easier than having 5 or 6 people in a band, and you gotta, who's fighting, who's this, who's that. I don't want to do this. Is it easier this way, Tony? I mean, I know it's totally cool.
Yeah, we sort of reverse engineered it, and I think for today's music scene, like we grew up where you form a band, you rehearse the hell out of the songs, then you go into the studio, you cut the songs, and then you start playing out live. And I think in today's music business, like me and Mike have enough experience where we didn't want to bog ourselves down for a year, 2 years, finding 2 other people who think alike, have the same vision. You would never, as a band, get to the heart of promotion and songs and getting on playlists. And, you would never get to that part. You'd be dealing with issues and who's got a girlfriend, who's got a wife, who doesn't want them to do it anymore. I mean, all that stuff, we were just like, we already know what we want. And we went in, we created the sound. We did our records. Now we're reverse engineering it, where we're trying to find consistent players. Now we're going to take it out on the road. But we took care of the important stuff first, without burning ourselves out on basically bullshit.
I like that reverse engineering. That makes a lot of sense. That is cool. So, Mike, for the viewers and listeners, because I kind of understand your process, talk to me how you came up with "Staying on My Soul" and the songwriting process and how that works. Does it start with a guitar riff? Do you come up with the lyrics? You send it back and forth to Tony? Share that with everybody so they understand how this great chemistry works.
Well, I think the chemistry first starts, from way back. Tony and I have a history, that goes before in theory. So we know what to expect from each other. We know when to push each other. We know when to pull each other back. So that's the big secret. Even if we're far away, we know each other so well, so that makes a really big difference. So I know Tony's strengths and weaknesses and vice versa. And we know when it should be at a higher level or it should be, or we're good. And so typically how we write is, I'll come up with the guitar riff, and then I'll go into the studio and I'll go with the drum loop and put bass on it, and then I'll send it off to Tony. And sometimes the idea comes out right away. Sometimes, it takes a little blood, sweat, and tears and aggravation over the phone. But on this one, on Stain, it was interesting because typically when I send the riffs, Tony really just jumps on it. He already has an idea. And I remember on this particular one, I sent out the riff to him, and actually I started adding another process to it. And I think you may have been in the process as well. What I also do, if there's a riff that I like, I send it to people that are now fans of In Theory before, because I think sometimes bands get hooked up, and especially musicians, we hear it so differently than how a fan would listen to it. And we get so hypercritical, like, oh, how I hit this note wrong, or I hate this guitar solo, or this riff is not right. But you play for the fans of that music and they're like, oh my God, this is fucking great. Like, what are you talking about? Or I'm not feeling it. And it's so funny that you had mentioned this particular song, because as I was cruising around Muscle Shoals today, I went through all the incarnations of Stain for Your Soul. So actually I found the very first version, and I had made up to the 5th version before we had Tony do anything on it. But on this one, on the very first version, I have to say, my guitar part really wasn't up to par. And not because it wasn't up to par technique-wise, it just wasn't popping. And not only for Tony, but also for a couple of fans I play it for, they're like, it's all right. And when I hear it's just all right, I know it's not all right. So then I went back and I'm like, okay, what is it missing? So for an entire night, I went and did all these little variations of the riff. I went back to the studio the next day, cut it, sent it off, and boom, Tony jumped right on it.
And the uniqueness of it is all Tony gets it, and Tony's got to own it. He's the singer. He's got to go on stage and sell this like he wrote it and come up with the emotions. And it shows. I mean, Tony, you just grab these things and make it your own, throw in your own Tony Covino and your great voice, and bang, it's a home run.
Yeah. Well, basically it's like I always say, like I go for the emotion of the part. It's like if Mike sends me a part or a riff, I grab the emotion where I just feel a vibe on it. And then I would construct the song melodies, and then I would back engineer it and then do my lyrics to fit the emotion of the song, rather than having lyrics first and trying to make it work. So whatever part he sends me, to me, is just like a clean slate. So I'm like, okay, I like that riff. It's got that vibe to it where, all right, I want to get angry on this part, or this part might be a little bit more sorrow on this part. So that's kind of how the way I make it my own, because he'll come up with a part he thinks cool, and then I'll just take it and then be like, okay, you think that's like a minor sound. I'm going to make it even more of a minor sound, with the emotion part to it. So every part he sends me is a clean slate. Yeah.
That's crazy, but that is so cool. And you look, when you both think of the finished product, you got to pinch yourself going, did we really accomplish this? I mean, Heroes, The River, Get Me Higher, Stain, Memories. I mean, you got to say to yourself, I mean, do you get the feeling that that we got something here? Because I get stuff every day, as you guys know, and people say, play this single, this is our single, and I go, and I don't want to bust their balloon. For me, there's something missing with it. But you guys are like, you got this thing that really works.
Thanks for noticing that. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're putting out stuff that we think people are gonna like, but we gotta like it first. So it's nice to know that what we think is good, other people hear similar qualities where they're like, wow, that's something new, that's a new direction, or that's a great sound. So it's good to know, but ultimately we're doing it, as a band, you have to do what you think's right, and then you put it out, and then you're hoping people are gonna understand what you were trying to portray.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, what got me to you guys was the Go-Go record, and I know I said to you what really hit me was the diversity of it. It was rock, it was a little country, it was rhythm and blues, it was a little of everything, even the instrumental. And I like that. It's something different. I'm tired of hearing the same commercial, blah, 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 blah. And that's what got me into the whole new music thing. And you guys, labeled swamp rock. That's why I read what I read before about Muscle Shoals, and to be named the new sound of Muscle Shoals. That is so important. I believe it's so important. And that's what makes you guys stand out to me more than anybody. I don't know anybody that's at that level, or at your level, I should say. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, Pat, well, the biggest difference, say, like from the Go-Go record, and you touched on it, it was our first, in a way, experimentation from style to style. And that was from song to song to song. What I've been able to incorporate, say, from a producer standpoint and in theory, is now take all those different influences and put them within one song. And I think that's the bigger difference. That's why you hear a little bit R&B, where sometimes you hear a little metal, sometimes hard rock, sometimes blues, but it's all within the context of a song. Where I feel like the biggest growth. We've been able to find the right ingredients per song to make it, very unique.
And then to bring in the wonderful and most talented Lanisha Latimer, and I forget the gentleman, Clayton, on the keys. I mean, I just saw Joe Bonamassa the other night for the first time, and I was like, well, what am I going to see? What really makes this guy great? And I got to see it. But he really, not that there's a lot of bands that have great backup singers, and I hate to use that word because they're talented musicians. Whether I just hate the word backup singer. And he showcased these two Lanisha Latimers, and they were incredible. But it reflects me back to you guys, because as a rock band, and Joe is more blues rock, I think that's what he's really labeled. But as a rock band, you bring so many different ingredients to the table that, again, I don't know. I can't say there's somebody, that has that uniqueness to it. Would you agree, Mr. Covino?
Yeah, I mean, it's all in the seasoning, right? So
yeah,
at the core, we're a hard rock band, but we sprinkle different seasonings. It might be like a Clayton or a Lanisha in a certain part to give it like a gospel quality. But at the root, we're a rock band, and then how we decide to put the different colorings on the song would make the band unique. And I think we captured that well.
You certainly did. I shared staying with my niece's husband, and he loves rock. He loves all kinds of music. I said, well, how would you define this or describe this? And he listened to it a couple of times, and he's pretty cool. He's pretty sharp. And he says, man, there's like this southern, I want to say southern rock, but there's more southern soul, and there's this, it's all over, but it's good. It's killer. And I just laughed. I knew I'd get that answer from him but I wanted to hear it from somebody else who really loves music. And Corey definitely loves music. Mike, you got on stage with James Nichols for the second time, only in your backyard. It looked like it was a pretty fun experience. I don't think you had too much room to move around. I think you were right there going at it.
Well, I think you get, we're both not little guys, as we say. So, Jared, I think he's like 6'5", 6'6", and 250, and and I'm not a little guy either. So we had no room. So, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. He keeps you on your toes, and so yeah, that's the best way to describe. We just had a lot of fun, and there was really no pressure, and we just it was really, we just went at it. And I even told, Tony and the band prior, it's like, let Jared and I just go at it. We'll let you know when we're done. But it was fun just to really let loose, and yeah, I think it was a lot of fun. There's still a lot of clips that we haven't put out from that, but it was good to really let loose, but not in a structured way, because like with in theory, there's some stuff that's structured that, you have to play within the song. With that, this, no holds barred. Let's just go for it.
And I mentioned Lanisha, and I want to be fair to Bruce, and I want to say Reggie. I'm not sure. Just mention those two great artists as well.
Oh yeah, so Rez is the bass player. He's from Muscle Shoals, and then Brian, he's a drummer. He's originally from with Pink, and I think Shooter Jennings and a few other folks, and it's been a good chemistry on with those three.
Yeah, I guess the hard part is getting the consistency. You mentioned possibly going on tour. Well, I'll get that out of you in a second. But, it's like everything. I just talked to Glenn Hughes yesterday, and he's in that Joe Bonamassa band with Jason Bonham, Black Country Communion. And as much as we want to say, when are you going on tour? The hardest part is the logistics of it. Tony, how cool was it to get on stage and rock at Muscle Shoals?
It was great to I mean, I know Mike lives there, but it's just the whole event was really cool. The crowd responded well to really all our songs, and that's all you can ask for, and everyone after the show wanted to meet us, shake our hands. So that's our barometer, me and Mike always say, whether there's 5,000 people, there's 5 people, we want those people to be excited about meeting us after the show and giving us a high five, because that means we did our job, and we definitely did.
Yeah, I remember my first job as a DJ, and a guy said to me, whether you have one listener or 100,000, it doesn't matter. Just do your best and rock it on. You know what I never asked you, Tony, is the fact of, and it sucks so bad that I couldn't get down there for that show because of our wonderful wedding anniversary, 35 wonderful, lovely years. And I never, thank you. I never asked you, because I'm saying to myself, what's that experience going to be like? I'm going to be like, I want to see everything. I want to go to every studio and know that Bob Dylan, the Stones, Etta Jones, Aretha, whoever, Robert Plant, everybody's played there. What's it like for you? Can you describe to me the feeling I would get and the feeling that you get when you go into one of those studios, just to know the vibe and the history that comes with that?
Are you talking about where we just did the show?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about when you go there and right. You record in the studio. Even go there. It's just such a sacred place that people I don't know if they really get it.
Yeah, it's monumental, like the stuff that's there, and a lot of the buildings haven't been changed or anything like that. So to know you're in locations where the Stones were, Aretha Franklin was, Wilson Pickett was, Allman Brothers, it's just pretty it's pretty amazing, but it's like with me, I guess I kind of don't enjoy, like if I have stuff going on, I'm so focused on doing what I'm supposed to do that I enjoy it almost after the fact.
Right.
Like I can't enjoy it. It's not like I'm not a tourist, in other words. Like, so if we're down there to rehearse and then do a show, I'm literally rehearsal, sleep, show. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not sightseeing. And it kind of sucks after the fact, because I was like, I wish I would have went there. But in general, just the atmosphere, and especially as a musician, you get a I don't know, just energetic feeling that it's really up to me, because these buildings or these recording consoles created hits. So it's possible. So you got that it's possible, and they did it right here. So you get that added, excitement, you're not in some place that nobody's ever heard of, and some guy just opened up a recording studio. You're at a place where it's like, no, this is where everybody did it. So on that aspect, it's very exciting. Yeah.
I can't wait to get down. You know what it reminds me of? I get that listening to you, and I would get when I go to Vegas and I go to Fremont Street or any of the old casinos where the carpet still has the Frank Sinatra carpet, and you got that cigar, Bugsy Malone smell, and you go, holy crap, man. And then obviously there's the newer ones that have all the bells and whistles. But when I go to Vegas, I always look around and I think of the history behind it. But I can't wait to get down there to see to understand it as a music lover. I don't think enough people understand it. Mike, you live there. I'm sure if paparazzi can sit there every day and there's a new band sneaking in and nobody even knows it. It's so laid back. It's got to be so cool in a way.
It's definitely cool. I mean, I think the coolest thing for me was there is an energy here that brings out music. And, you know, you can attribute it to the river, or it's this place, or, I mean, it could be so many things. It could be just that the fact that you know the history that is bringing it out. But I haven't been able to pinpoint it. But the fact that, and I'll throw it back at you there with the open G tuning.
Open G, baby.
No, but the fact, I mean, seriously, the fact that you know, there's these like I said, blues influences and R&B influences, and why it's coming out of this place, I can't put my finger on it, but it just does. And I think that's what people get when they come here. They're not, you know, especially people that are not, who don't live here, they come here and all of a sudden they're singing different, and they're playing guitar slightly different. Also, they're playing a little bit more with the backbeat as a drummer instead of on the beat. No one's telling them to do it. There's just something here that instinctively is bringing that out.
You know, and it's almost central USA. You got the Delta blues, you got the Chicago blues, you got a little of Louisiana Cajun, and this place is almost, I mean, it's not obviously the center of the country, but, and it's not Memphis, it's near Memphis, but it's just so, I'm like, I was thinking about that the last couple of days going, that place has got to be, it's incredible. Tony, let me, I'm going to ask you this one, and I'm going to have Mike ask that the same question. You've known this character above us over here for a while. How would you describe the talents of this guy? I mean, I know he doesn't have a life and he's got a wonderful dog, but where does he come up with all this energy, creativity, and enough to drive you nuts?
Yeah, he drives me nuts well.
Okay, that's number one. We got that out of the way.
Yeah. No, Mike's an incredible talent. I mean, you know, I've been Mike's #1 fan since I met him, you know, and I've always tell him that. And he's an incredible player, and I think people are going to start to notice how talented he is, but not only as a guitar player, but he's also an amazing producer. And but I think most of all, Mike's the driving force. So he keeps everybody on task. You know, he's a very goal oriented person. I'm the opposite. It's like I sort of like to feel things out, and I'm very, yeah, let's do it. I don't want to do it today. And Mike's like, no, we got to get this done. We got to get. So, you know, it's great, because if we were both like me, nothing probably would get done. So when we kid around, it's like we annoy each other. It's only because he's a lot of times pushing me along or pushing someone along, but that needs to get done. I mean, if you're serious about the music business and you want to be successful, you got to have someone like Mike in your corner. And you know, we're like brothers, but I've been his biggest fan since day one. So that's pretty much.
And that's what makes it work. You know,
Right.
I'm an extrovert. I could sell ice and water to anybody. My wife is a complete introvert. She was lucky to say hello to you. And if you look at our astronomy, it says it will never work. And here we are 35 years and somehow we figured it out. But yeah, that's what makes it work. I think it has a lot to do with Mr. Moster's business side of things. That's what I would think. But Mr. Moster, what makes this guy, his voice, his talent, his songwriting, he puts that edge, and I think both of you are ready to climb over the mountain and then some, and people are going to recognize what I've been saying for the last 4 or 5 years. Explain to me the wonderful talents of our friend in Long Island.
Oh, you mean that guy who drives me crazy?
All right, you're even. All right, no fighting on this show.
No, it's so funny. We're the mutual admiration club, to some degree. But how I feel, like Tony hit it on the head, is if we're going to do this, I'm very goal and detail oriented and that stuff. But with Tony, I just feel like I know how much work he puts into his vocals and the passion he has in his vocals. And because he's so passionate, I feel there's a responsibility. So that actually makes me work harder, because I want Tony to be great, because I still think, and I know that Tony doesn't believe it in himself many times, but I still think that Tony, honestly, by far, he's in the elite club of these guys. And I tell him that all the time.
Absolutely.
I know he's full of shit or just being nice, but I don't know. But I don't know. We joke about it, but he also knows if I don't like something, I'm pretty critical on Tony as well. So, but yeah, that's what I would say about Tony. I mean, I just think he's just one of the best, in a very nice way, one of the best fucking singers on the planet, period. And I love it that maybe that we are not the same, because it's all not necessarily from the hip, but he brings a lot of passion, and that's it. He just brings from a passion. Either he feels it or he doesn't feel it, but the chemistry works. And when he's feeling something, like we said, when we send back a track, then I know what to do, from a methodical standpoint. I said, okay, Tony, I say I'm doing a riff this way. Tony starts singing a certain way, then I know what to do, from how much keyboards we need to add or background or whatever, but that's the best thing I can say about Tony, like by far. And it's not only because I'm in a band with him, it's just the reaction of everybody who hears Tony, that like their mouth drops, and that's from a fan, that's from the elite, that's coming from people who love metal, from people who love R&B, the people who love blues. They hear Tony and they're like, what the fuck? That guy is incredible.
Absolutely. And it comes across real good. And yeah, exactly. And I say this, I don't say this often, but there are bands that you want to see live that I watch YouTube and I go, holy shit, that is a band that I have to see live. There's a band in New Zealand and they've been trying to make it, and I'm not sure if they're actually gonna succeed. And I say, my goodness, I got to see these people live and get them over here somehow. And you guys, it just killed me that I couldn't make that show, because I got to see you guys live. I know the work and the effort and everything that you put into it, and I'm like, it just really killed me to not come down. But I know there are more shows coming up, right, Tony? Tell me there are more shows, brother.
There's more shows.
Yeah, you need a guy to sell the merch and know all about you guys. Yes. I'm the guy.
You are the guy, Patrick. You got the reins.
Too, Pat.
Thank you. So I don't know which one of you want to grab this. What's on the horizon? We got another single coming out. We got another great video. What's the next game plan that you can share with me?
I think all of the above. We're going to release another single, I think, at the end of September.
Cool.
Tony and I still have to decide on. So we do have a lot of songs that's already finished, mastered, and it just all depends on our mood, and they're all different. And it's not our mood, but also I was going to say the mood of the songs are quite different from song to song to song. They each make a different statement. And I think for us, it also shows a different growth in different areas. we're talking about sprinkling the seasoning. And these songs went a little bit this way, a little bit extra than we normally would have. But yeah, each song is like that. But that is the plan. There'll be a new single, and there is going to be a tour scheduled for end of September, and then October, and then we'll see what happens after that. We're taking it in little chunks at this point, but there'll be a single and a little mini tour coming up.
Are you still on? I think I've asked you once before, Mike. Are you still on, or either one of you is on Alice's radio show, like on a soft rotation that keeps the momentum going for you guys?
I think the answer is yes and no. So I don't think we're on Alice's show, but the stations that he airs on, we're still on those stations.
So it's throw the hook out. Alice puts it out, and stations go, "Oh, what is this?" And they grab it, because you're right. That's a stupid question I mentioned, because one of you guys put up the video thanking all the stations, and I was overwhelmed to see stations from Oregon all the way down to wherever. The list just kept going, and I guess you have to contribute that to being on Alice's show.
Yeah, well, we got on so far. It's about 100. It was 175 stations, and I think by the end of this week or middle of next week, will be at over 300 or 350 stations just for this.
Are you guys, Tony, are you guys doing any more? Are you doing a lot more interviews than you did in the past now that you really like kick the door down a little bit?
Yeah, it seems like we have a lot more opportunities, to do stuff with our friend Jody Best is helping us along, but it seems like there's more opportunities than were before, which is a great thing.
So you still don't have to wear a baseball hat and sunglasses when you walk down the streets of Long Island, that people aren't tracking you down asking for an autograph.
No,
Not yet. Not yet, dude. Not yet.
It'll happen, but just not today.
I like that. I like the confidence. It's just not going to happen today.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
So enjoy it, because when it comes, I'm going to tell you, it's here, man. Well, you can check out these wonderful guys. Go buy a bundle. They got shirts. They got this killer record, EP, whatever you want to call it. I can't wait for more. I love these guys. And you know where to find me, man. I can't just get the smile off my face for everything that has happened over the last month or so. Go ahead, Mike.
I say, yeah. And the other thing too, I mean, we put a great team behind us as well, so we have Fret Bar Records and, our boy Jimmy, and of course we have Jody behind us, and another guy, Tim, is our active rock, and, and we have, I think, who is that? Kevin's from Fuel for Entertainment. So what we've done is, Tony and I have a philosophy of, we made this music that's, we feel is great, obviously, because it's, unbiased.
It is.
But in the business end of it has to be stronger than your music. And so we were very cognizant of, let's put a great team around us. And I think that's why, we are charting. That's why we're getting these opportunities to tour. And there's even bigger opportunities that we know that we can't divulge yet for, early, 2024.
You can call me later and tell me.
But I finally feel like we put such a strong team behind the strong music. And now we're ready. We're ready to kick down the doors on every level.
Tony, would you just say that would you agree that what Mike just said is probably the best advice for anybody if you want to get into the business, even though the songs are the products, you got to have that force behind you.
Yeah, it's like we spoke about earlier, right? The reverse engineering part. It's like you can have a great band, great songs, but if the other side isn't there in today's day and age, because we ultimately, at least for now, we're our own promotion machine. Record company's not doing that for you anymore. And then hopefully we get to a point where, okay, now someone wants to take us, but we have to get ourselves to that level before they're interested. So, yeah, I mean, without the right team around you, no one's gonna know about you. you know. So yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, you know what? And you make a good point, because the guy that plays new music and supports new music, I say to my wife, mute Mike and Molly, whatever's on TV, and listen to this. And she would just look at me and says, it should be a hit. But if you don't have the background or the support, I don't know. I mean, I know so many bands that have broken up in the last, I don't know, 7 years, that I see these guys follow friends on Facebook, and then I read that the guy, they're no longer together. And there's one band out in Georgia I just loved. And I'm like, what happened? They were like a Motley Crue to me. I'm like, you're like the 21st century Motley Crue. And they loved it. I played their music all the time, interviewed them all the time. And it just never got going. And they did some shows, but they were known locally in, you know, whatever part of Georgia. I want to say outside of Atlanta or somewhere out there, but it's like, it sucks. So I'm glad everything is in the force for In Theory and going on the right path. And I'm glad that I've been on the train since the beginning. And I'm glad to tell everybody about this. Go to In Theory Original and support these guys. These are the best of the best. And we can look at this video 5 years from now and go, told you.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. You've been one of the originals, and we'll always be grateful. Thank you.
You got it, brother. Go ahead, Mike. I know I cut you off.
I don't know what I'm going to say now. I was going to go bust your balls there, Pat.
You can bust my balls. I'm got a head cold, so knock me down. You know, it's all right. I get it.
I mean,
it's the New Yorker in you. You know, me and Tony.
It's poor you and Tony, the poor Italian guys up there in New York.
The poor Italian guy. Last name ends in a vowel. Watch your garbage guy there in Alabama.
That's it. We won't pick up your garbage. The sanitation trucks. Be careful.
We'll be looking for you.
Something in my garbage that I don't want.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you so much for. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Interrupted, but I just want to say, yeah, thank you. I mean, from, like Tony said, you've been there from the beginning when I, just started the Go-Go record, and you supported every endeavor. Oh, I can't even say it. But everything that I'm not only support it, I think you've gone above and beyond just supporting it. I'm saying that you're such a strong support system, even outside the radio. And, you're always someone I can talk to about music and music business. And I know when I send you a song and you're like, Mike, yeah. Like, I know I did something right.
Tony, we got to get him a box of tissues. I think there's a tear coming out of his eye. He won't show it, but I think we might have to get him
getting a little glisten.
I have a tissue, but it's for something else.
That's another podcast.
Look, you know me. I'm the real deal. I say what I got to say. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't waste my time. And I'm just glad to have the opportunity. There's no such thing as a coincidence, and somebody put us on the path. And I am so excited. I hope you sell 100 million records and go on tour all over the world. And I know I had a little squid part in a big ocean. Had a little part about it from the beginning, and that just makes me even more happier. So I'm glad to do what I do, man. Love you guys. And buy stuff. Go get it today.
Do it.